Tech Talk Tuesday. Tech Talk Tuesday. Tech Talk Tuesday. You mean Thursday.
Man, I tell you, I'm so into cybersecurity, I woke up in a cold sweat about Chinese intellectual property theft. Welcome to another 10-minute Tech Talk Thursday with your host, Michael Weir, the Fortinet NSE 7 Certified Technical Account Manager for Fortinet at Ingram Micro. And I am here today to talk to you about election security. I'd say that's kind of a weird thing for a tech talk. Let's look into this a little bit. What I want to ask is the question of, after you vote electronically, where does your vote go? So what happened? Reflecting back on something in the, I believe it was either late 90s or early 2000s here, but The Simpsons won the mayoral election in a test run of voting software. I believe it was the University of Michigan ran a test run on some proposed electronic voting software, and they were asked to see if they could crack it. And within a few hours, Homer Simpson had won the election, rather than the candidates that were originally on the ballot. The problem is that electronic collection and transmission of votes is far more efficient but far less secure than paper ballots. And the solution is a plan. We'll get to that. So let's take a look at our current election security plans when it comes to electronic voting. Let's look at their standardized protection. So the number one thing you can do to protect is to make it standardized, right? So the first thing is the government is offering some proprietary EDR/IDS/SOC monitoring software called Albert. However, its adoption is completely voluntary. It was designed by the Center for Internet Security. It's a proprietary thing. You're not allowed to use it unless you're a local, state, tribal, federal, or territorial government entity. But its adoption is voluntary. And out of all those people I just said, as of August 5th of 2020, less than 100 of those have adopted it. Other than that, there's just a best practice guide, and nothing there is mandated. So what grade do I have to give their standard protection? I have to give it a F. So then let's talk about the training courses that are available. We have free online courses from CISA and the EAC. So CISA is the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, part of the Department of Homeland Security. EAC is the U.S. Election Assistance Commission. And, some of these are on their website, some are even on Coursera. But what's interesting about them, once again, is they are not mandated, so grade F. And then cybersecurity testing. Their cybersecurity testing right now is being done by volunteers, mostly on the software level, not actually any kind of hardware deployment level, not looking at the networks and the polling stations, anything along those lines, just on the software. And once again, it's not mandated. Electronic Systems and Software LLC, who makes a lot of the voting software, they're taking their stuff to the Black Hat Conference. And then the University of Chicago runs something they call Election Cyber Surge to connect election officials with cybersecurity experts. Not a whole lot of takers on that one. And once again, none of this is mandated, so grade F. So in the threats, let's talk about this. It's what happens to this vote. This vote's in a few places. First is the voting software and hardware, which could have security vulnerabilities, could have susceptibility to tampering, could have glitches and exploitable features. Second place that vote's going to go is the LAN at the polling station. Goodness gracious, we hope that is air-gapped. But either way, there needs to be some device monitoring in there. There could be some access controls in there. There could be man-in-the-middle attacks. And 3, the final results. If those are transmitted securely, there are tamperable backups or results coming in mixed formats, there could be problems there. For those saying, what could be happening? We're going to get to that in a little bit. We're going to have a guy called Jerry come in and do some voting, and we'll see what he could actually do. But if we want to break this down, this is what happens, right? So software is put on a machine. The machine travels to the polling station. The machine is turned on and potentially, but hopefully not, networked. Polling station opens, people vote, polling station closes, votes are transmitted, and results are declared. So let's look at that first a little bit there about the software and the machine. That security depends on the manufacturer, right? Is the machine that's being put on well manufactured secure? Is the software bug-free? Has it been put on somewhere securely? Maybe it's done some kind of checksum or golden image or something to make sure if there's any tampering, it's detected, and it is sent out. Then our hookup and station open. This is the first chance for on-site compromise. Now, in my mind, I picture what's going on, and I see a bunch of people with Netgear Nighthawks out there, which are perfectly good for your home gaming use, pulling them into an internet port somewhere, making a little LAN for people to play around with during the day, maybe an access point so the people watching it can be on their phones without using their data or something. And then by the time we get to the end of that, that's all the security there is protecting these voting machines. Like I said, hopefully they're air-gapped, but something tells me not everybody will do that. But either way, then voting happens. People are at the machine with, by definition, no one watching. Obviously, that's important for a secret vote, is that nobody watched the voting. But that also means there's going to be people in there at those potentially vulnerable machines without anybody looking at them. And then close and transmission. Hopefully, there's some kind of integrity check followed by anything else like that the first time the votes leave the polling station. And then, of course, we're declaring the results in the end. So let's see this in action. So for this upcoming example, we're going to assume that both the hardware and the software of the voting machines were constructed at a secure location, free of tampering, exploitation, and kept so until they get to the polls. So we've got the first little bit of that little chart I just showed you, in theory, guaranteed to be safe at this one. Hi, I'm a voting machine, and my name is Charlie. Hi, Charlie, I'm Steve, the LAN you'll be connecting to. Nice to meet you. Likewise, let's get to work. Hi guys, I'm Anna and I'm here to vote. Be our guest, please step behind our curtain and cast your vote. Awesome! Then voting happens. Next. Hi, I'm Jerry, here to vote or something. Oh, no need to be nervous, Jerry. Step behind our curtain where no one can see you and perform this most important act of democracy. So what can Jerry do when he's back there? Lulz. I found a hole in the software online that lets a local user make changes to the UI. Let's make it so anytime someone clicks on candidate, their vote goes to Vermin Supreme. CHA-CHING. Oh, look, an open network port. Let me put a wireless tap in there and send a copy to myself of all the traffic going over this. Wow, I bet I can sell this information for a lot. Bigger CHA-CHING. Oh, look, an open USB port. Let me stick a drive in there to put some ransomware in the system. They'll have no option but to pay. Now, some of you might be saying, but I bet the OS is proprietary. To which I would say it's highly unlikely the OS will be so completely removed from any existing OS that it will be impenetrable to currently existing ransomware. Even if it is impenetrable to currently existing ransomware, the potential payday from here would probably be incentive enough for someone to try to craft a new thing and crack it. So that is the bigger CHA-CHING. Owned. Oh, look, an open port. Let me put in a keystroke/code injector to make sure my favorite candidate wins. I hope I get something good out of this and not 20 years to life. And then voting ends. So now we move on to the next stage. Oh, good. Voting is over. It's hard work serving less than half of the eligible population. And then Charlie and Steve say time to transmit the results using this home router over the internet. Like I said, my favorite little neck-ear nighthawk I like to make fun of. So what can Jerry do after the fact? Young Yu. Plangxi, let's alter the information in transit so that a candidate who is more favorable to our military and economic ties across the Pacific is elected. Vladel. Comrade, let's tamper with the system to skew results and sow mistrust in U.S. political establishment, allowing us to take more prominent position in global affairs. How to stop them? So ideally, here's how we would stop these things from happening. Number one, Jerry finding this hole. First is test the software. Now, there is some things going back on. If you ever want to read something interesting about this, look at what happened to Diebold in the 1999, 2000, 2001 era with their election software. They actually posted the source code online, totally unprotected, unencrypted, anything else like that. And it revealed that the testing had been, if anything, woefully inadequate. So had that software gotten out there and had nobody raised a stink, the election would have been horribly insecure. Either way, so to beat this one, we test the software. Next, when Jerry says, oh, an open network port, let's put a tap in there, send myself a copy of all traffic. This is a time for a NAC or a SIM. Either something that's going to report on the traffic, like a SIM, or a NAC to say, hey, this is an unauthorized device. It doesn't get to go anywhere. Or when he sees an open port, let me put a keystroke/code injector in there. This is time for two different things. Number one, this is time for physical security. Now, you might be saying, well, physical security, we can't have a security camera in there watching him voting. Well, no. That's totally true, and that's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm saying is that you need to make sure there are no open ports available, that the machine itself is physically secure from tampering. Then the second thing is EDR UEBA. So EDR being endpoint detection and response, UEBA is user and entity behavior analytics. I've talked about those in previous videos. If we're looking at those, that would be something that would say, hey, this is not standard behavior, right? This injection of keystrokes, the way this thing is behaving, the manner in which it is putting out these requests, all that kind of thing, is something different than the norm for this machine. It's an anomaly. Now, could an anomaly be a whole bunch of people voting for the same person in a row? Sure, but if an anomaly is detected, it's a good time to say, all right, well, let's pause the voting and look in and see if we can figure out if something's going on here. And then we've got our Jerry, who may or may not be from China, the communist nation there, and who says, we want to alter this information in transit. So something for this is in motion and at rest encryption. So in motion is simple enough, right? We're talking about like a VPN or something along those lines. Something who's sending encrypted packets that couldn't easily be decrypted in transit. Use 5th CC protocols and all those different kind of things. At rest encryption means even when the data is on a drive, or even when the data is sitting still on a machine, it should be in such a format that someone who pulled it back off could have no way to either alter it without messing it up or even tell what is on there, right? That's at rest encryption. It should be encrypted both in motion and at rest. And then our Russian here, who is looking to tamper with the election results a little bit to skew them. This is why we have secure backups and redundancy, right? In an ideal world, what you would be looking at is that there would be backups that we could check the originals against, even just as simply as via checksum. Say, hey, is this the same as what was originally done at the voting booth? There'd be a copy of it in cold storage somewhere that's never touched by anything else, and a copy of it that goes out to wherever these votes are being tallied, and we would make sure when it got there it was the same as it was before. So these secure backups and redundancy allow us to ensure the security and integrity of our electronic elections. So after looking at that, what is my call to action? Well, I know before I said plan, and all these things I said are kind of general, so what we really need to do here is hold our elected officials responsible for the security of our election while there is still time. Man, if I can't say it, how are those elected officials going to do it? Either way, I hope you liked this video. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, there's my email and my work phone on there. Feel free to drop me a line, call me, leave me a voicemail. Potentially I'll answer you, potentially I will not if you sound too much like a telemarketer. Otherwise, thank you, and thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and have a good day.